There's a picture behind your desk over here of a. It looks like a tombstone at the Normandy Cemetery.
That's my company commander's grave. He got killed about 30 yards from me, got his head blown off. I happened to view his body. He was laying flat on his back, and I think it was the same time that I got shrapnel in the back. I didn't get injured badly. I just had a piece of shrapnel wrap around my Achilles tendon on the backside. That's when the German farmer wanted my boots. That's when I found out my boots had been slit open, and my GI boot had a gouge right around the back. So that's how close I came to losing my right foot.
What do you mean when the German farmer wanted your boot? Tell me.
We were walking as prisoners in through the farmland.
Okay.
And the German farmer came up to there was a guard pretty close to me, and he pointed to me. He wanted my boots, rubber boots. They didn't have any.
Okay.
We had overshoes on. We were dressed for winter.
Okay, so you were well equipped then.
Oh yeah, we had, what, 4 buckles? It was in the Army, 4 buckles. And I had on a pair of boots, and I didn't know at that time that I had the slit around the back. And so when it took the boots off, I took my boot off, and here was this gaping hole around here. That's how close it was. See?
Wow.
And I was able to walk. I was able to walk. I was not disabled, not like some guys, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Didn't you get hit on the head one time? Didn't somebody, when you were as a prisoner, didn't somebody hit you with a suitcase or something? I thought I remember reading that.
yeah, I think I did. I'd have to read my own diary again. You're talking to my bad memory right now.
Okay.
Was it very common that the German farmers would try to get equipment from the
No, I don't
prisoners?
think so. No.
So this was just like a one-time incident?
Yeah. You know, we were about 5, I can't even remember how many was in a column. We were 5 or 6 guys, you know. Well, we covered the road.
Okay.
Particularly the gravel roads in the country. And then even on the march back, God, that was miserable too. But when we marched back from up where we were up north there, it was we were mostly we covered we were not on major highways, but we were on you know we were on roads like we have. They had some roads over then, as I remember, that were made of blacktop or macadam or whatever you call it, and we walked a long ways to come back from that.
Did you get an order to surrender, or how did that happen? Because you were fighting, and how did everybody surrender at the same time and the fighting stopped?
The word was passed down somehow that we were surrendering, and for us to put down our arms and you know.
Did anyone refuse?
No.
What was the incident that? Well, I know how I'd feel about it. What happened to your company commander? What was that? Was that part of the surrender situation where he got killed, or was it?
No, that was just prior. We were trying to make our way into Schoenberg, Germany. We had been pulled off of the line up on the Siegfried line. We walked back and we were supposed to make our way and meet with another part of our division in Schoenberg, Germany. We never made it. We got to a hill overlooking Schoenberg. 3 big German tanks, I don't know whether they're Mark 6s or Mark 5s, big ones, were coming down the road. There were German troops coming down the hillside in front of us. There was artillery pouring in constantly. The treetops were blowing up. You've been there. It's and eventually then we were surrounded, and we got word that our regimental commanders, the 422nd and 423rd, had given up. So we had to put our arms down.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was only about 150 yards from the major road, which was only a blacktop road there. but it was a road leading into Schoenberg. That's a town we were trying to go through to meet American troops on the other side. Never made it.
Wow.
Yeah. That was our withdrawal, you know. We were withdrawing from the, have a mountain, you got a mountain here, we were up on the mountain, Schoenberg was here, we had to come down off the mountain and go back through a trail, or through a road, blacktop. They had blacktop roads like we had here.
Do you have any messages for my generation, both of you, about World War II and your experiences?
About what?
You know, do you have anything to tell my generation, you know, about your experiences? And I don't really know how to answer them. That's the
Let me
question.
read
Like,
your question.
That one's not in there. I just going to ask, do you have any messages for teenagers, high school students today, based upon the experiences that you two had?
You know, offhand, I'm not sure. The people that I know in this generation, I can't think of a bad apple. You know what I mean? I can't think of anything bad. We tend to believe as adults that maybe maybe they are living under much different conditions. Let's put it that way, psychologically and physically than what we lived back in those days. If I think about myself being I was not a farm boy, and I wouldn't mind have been one, but I was not a farm boy. I was just the son of a railroad engineer who lived in a small village. But living in a small village, God, I'd love to go back there and live again. You know, you go fishing, you trap for mink in the wintertime, and you go swimming naked in the summertime, and it was just fantastic. The city boys don't have that much privilege. They probably take more than what I ever took back in those days. But we're a different generation, you know, that's about all. I lived a good life. I think the kids today, not the kids, they're young adults. They're growing up, I think, in a good environment. We sometimes wonder, but the world is more complex now than it was. Maybe it isn't, but it seems to me that it is. Maybe a little bit more complex than what it was back in those times. We have so much freedom to travel and talk, and we had it then, but you didn't think about flying to Europe. You and I can go down and buy a ticket tonight and fly to Paris tomorrow, and back in those days you never even thought about doing that.
Well, there wasn't any question for you that you were fighting the good fight, was there? That you were on the right side of it? Things?
No. I think you just did what you had to do. We knew we were going to be drafted when we got out of high school. And I knew I was physical fit. I played 4 years of basketball, and there was no question about me going into the Army. I was going. I can't remember exactly, but I thought about joining after, you know. And my parents said, "Wait till you get drafted." You know, I don't know if that's a memory, if I'm just making that up, or if that's what I thought was said.
Right.
But, and God, I had a beautiful young life in the country, you know. I'd like to go back to it. I can still remember my little dog. I can still remember trapping, fishing, hunting for muskrat, or trapping for muskrats and stuff, you know. I don't get that here, but I get to play golf with Jeff.
There you go.
Universally, I think it's a very similar kind of a story, or a comment that I would make would be that the times have changed a lot.
Oh yeah.
And what we looked at then, I didn't have any apprehension about going over. I thought I was doing the right thing.
Yeah.
The difference is, and I think I kind of alluded to it when we were talking a little bit earlier, was how we were received when we got home.
Yeah.
And it made me give pause to what the heck is all this about? You know, am I really doing the kind of things that we really need to do?
Well, you thought you were doing the right thing by going. Did
Right.
you volunteer?
Yes.
Yes. So you thought you were doing the right thing and going, and you were, if that's what you thought. I can see, when we got, it's kind of hard for me to compare the two, because we're different wars, but we experienced the same thing. We were in battle, or we had to go, had to prepare for battle. I wonder sometimes if some of these, you hear some stories about Vietnam and the vets sometimes, and I don't believe some of them. I haven't had your experience, let's put it that way.
Nor have I had your
Yeah,
experience, and that was
yeah.
one of the things I was
Yeah.
really curious about.
Uh-huh.
I'm hearing you talk more about a group experience,
Yeah.
where there were 6,500 guys.
Yeah,
Where in my experience, the most I was ever associated with was a platoon, 60 guys. And more often than not, it was just 3 of us. Very isolated, very individual, where we did a lot of our actions on our own based on what we thought was right, as opposed to, again, what I'm hearing you talk about, it was more like you were part of the commonality of everything else.
yeah. We came back, particularly from the division I was in, we came back just a little bit with our tail under, because we got captured so fast after we got online. I think that had a lot of psychological effect. Plus that son of a gun in the American Legion.
I can imagine
Yeah,
that.
oh, I steam up yet when I think of that.
I can see it,
Yeah.
and I can understand it completely.
Yeah. After you leave here, if you've got any questions, give me a call and ask, You're welcome
Sure.
to come back personally, whatever. So.
This was amazing. I thank you for letting us into your home. This was
You're welcome.
outstanding.
You're welcome.